Penguin Random House Audio presents The 5 Types of Wealth, a transformative guide to design your dream life. This is the author, Sahil Bloom. This program comes with a downloadable PDF. For my wife, Elizabeth, and my son, Roman. With the two of you by my side, I always feel like the wealthiest man alive. Prologue: The Journey of a Lifetime. You're going to see your parents 15 more times before they die. All of what follows is the story of how those simple words changed my life, and how they may change yours. On a warm California evening in May 2021, I sat down for a drink with an old friend. As we settled in at our table, he asked how I was doing. At first, I gave him the standard response that we've all grown so accustomed to. I'm good. Busy. I said it with all the unintended irony of the modern era, where busy is a badge of honor, as if being more stressed is something to be proud of. When I asked the same of him, instead of replying with typical busyness one-upmanship, he replied that he was making time for the important things, since his father had gotten sick the prior year. The unexpected vulnerability in his words knocked me off the typical conversation track that defines these catch-up encounters. He had opened a new track, and rather than resist, I walked down it, adding that living in California had begun to wear on me, it being so far from my aging parents on the East Coast. This rare emotional honesty sparked the interaction that altered the course of my life. Friend, how often do you see your parents? Me. Maybe once a year right now. Friend. And how old are they? Me. Mid-60s. Friend. Okay, so you're going to see your parents 15 more times before they die. Gut punch. I had to take a deep breath to avoid an instinctively angry response. This was an old friend, one who knew my parents well. It wasn't meant to be insensitive. It was just math. The average life expectancy is approximately 80 years. My parents were in their mid-60s, and I saw them once per year. The math said that I would see them 15 more times before they were gone. This was the math that broke me. It was the math that changed my life. Playing the wrong game. I was born of an unlikely collision of two worlds. A rejection of common convention is in my DNA. In 1978, my mother, Lakshmi Reddy, born and raised in Bangalore, India, hopped on a plane with a one-way ticket to study at Mount Holyoke College in South Hadley, Massachusetts. Her parents were, understandably, worried that she'd never come home. Their friends told them she'd meet an American guy, fall in love, and build a life in that faraway land. They were right. My father, born and raised in a Jewish household in the Bronx, New York, had a life mapped out for him by his overbearing father, one that involved marrying a Jewish girl and settling down for a stable career in academia. Fortunately for me, fate, if you believe in that, had different plans. In a made-for-the-movies twist, they crossed paths in 1980 at a Princeton University library, where my mother was working to pay her way through a master's program, and my father was in the final stages of writing his dissertation. Her parents' concerns 9,000 miles away, my mother worked up the courage to ask him on a date. As they enjoyed their ice cream, my father, never one to beat around the bush, told her, "My family will never accept us." My mother, too blinded by excitement at the use of the word us, completely missed the message. Sadly, he was right. For a variety of reasons that seem impossible to understand today, my father's family was not accepting of the budding courtship. The fight grew so contentious that he was ultimately forced to choose between his family and my mother. I never met my father's parents, and he never saw them again. But the legacy of his decision, to choose true love above all else, set the stage for the world that I was born into. My childhood and young adult years were a steady, monotonous march toward a textbook definition of success. I did well in school, maybe not according to my discerning Indian mother, who continues to this day to ask, why not try for medical school? But my thoughts were always on the baseball field. With some natural ability and a hell of a lot of hard work, I earned a scholarship to pitch at Stanford University. I'll never forget the look on my mother's face when I told her the news. Her disbelief that her ne'er-do-well, always playing, never studying son had been accepted to Stanford was priceless. I flew out to California with dreams of a glory-filled career in professional baseball. But when a junior year shoulder injury derailed those aspirations, I was forced to find my footing in the classroom and plan for an alternative future. The problem was that I had no idea what future I wanted to build. To try to solve that puzzle, I did what I thought any ambitious young person would do. I went to the richest people I knew and asked them about their work and how I could get into it. I vividly recall a formative conversation with a family friend who had made a fortune in the world of investing. He suggested I join an investment firm straight out of school, and his case was simple. You'll make $100,000 a year right away, $500,000 a year soon after that, and by the time you're 30, you'll be making more money than you know what to do with. That sounded pretty damn good to me, on the basis of one simple, foundational assumption. Money will lead directly to success and happiness. To be clear, I'm not sure when I formally adopted that understanding as my own. My father was in academia, and my mother was a small business owner. We always had enough, but we certainly weren't rich, particularly not on a making more money than you know what to do with measuring stick. When I was a kid, I had one very rich friend. He had an incredible house, all the newest toys, and he was constantly getting the latest and greatest sports equipment. I was envious of his life. I never questioned whether all that stuff actually made him happy, whether he would trade the chef-prepared dinner he ate alone for a takeout meal at a table surrounded by love. I proceeded to attend college with high achievers who frequently measured status by who got the highest offer from Goldman Sachs or McKinsey. So it's safe to say my foundational assumption about the nature of success and happiness was firmly entrenched by the time I was ready to enter the real world. Mark Twain is often quoted as having said, "It ain't what you don't know that gets you into trouble. It's what you know for sure that just ain't so." Well, when I took the advice of my family friend and accepted a job in California where I would earn well into the six figures in my first year, I knew for sure that this was the beginning of my road to the good life. That if I put in my time, I'd eventually reach that stress-free future filled with money and happiness. What I knew for sure just wasn't so. I simply hadn't realized it yet. By the time I turned 30, I had achieved every marker of what I believed success looked like. I had the high-paying job, the title, the house, the car. It was all there. But beneath the surface, I was miserable. I began to think something was wrong with me. I had spent years with my head down, embracing the long hours, believing that the idyllic land of success was well within reach. At every step along the way, I told myself that I was just one bonus, one promotion, or one fancy bottle of wine away from arriving in that land. Then, one day, I realized I had achieved all of it, and all I could think was, is this it? The arrival fallacy is the false assumption that reaching some achievement or goal will create durable feelings of satisfaction and contentment in our lives. We incorrectly assume that we will finally experience the sensation of having arrived when we reach whatever we have propped up as our destination. I was 30 years old and making millions of dollars. I had arrived, but the feelings of happiness and fulfillment I expected were nowhere to be found. Instead, I just felt that familiar dread of needing to do more, of never having enough. I'm willing to bet I'm not the only person who's had this experience. How many times has the thing your younger self dreamed of become the thing you complain about once you've gotten it? The house you longed for becomes the house you.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?